Hey, good afternoon. Sorry I'm not at school today, but we'll have a video for a lesson. We're going to start the new unit, the new section for Unit 2. There should be a paper copy for those of you that would like it, and then the rest of you can download it from Schoology. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take a look at how to basically simplify. Okay, so 15 over 5 gives me 3, and then we have x squared and x just cancel 2x. Okay, stuff you've seen before. If we take a look at the next example, 24 over 36, 12 can go into both, so we're left with 2 over 3. Then we have a, b to the negative first, and then c. So how did I get b to the negative first? Remember that when you divide powers of the same base, you subtract the exponents, so 2 minus 3 is negative 1. But of course we don't like to leave our answers with the negative exponents, so my final answer is 2ac all over 3b. Okay. All right, so we're going to get a little bit more complicated than that, obviously. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about multiplying. We got to talk about multiplying fractions. So remember that you multiply straight across, you cancel what you can, or sometimes you cross cancel as well. So the first step in multiplying is to factor if possible. And then our second step is going to be to cancel terms that match. Okay. When you are working with binomials, such as x plus 2, it has to be exactly the same. You can't break up that partnership, okay? One thing you'll hear me say is you can't break up the couples. So x plus 2 has to stay together. They're bounded by the addition and the subtraction. So you can't cancel cross addition and subtraction. They have to stay together. Okay, and then the other thing too is the ratio has to be 1 to 1. So one part in the numerator, one part in the denominator. You can't cancel within a numerator. Okay, so ratio has to be 1 to 1. All right, for division, you multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Okay. When we get into complex fractions, this is the bottom one. Okay, it's the second fraction, however you want to think of it. And then a saying that you'll hear me say is we switch and flip. So we switch the operation, so we change it from division to multiplication, and then we flip the fraction. So it should go in that order. You always flip the fraction that follows the multiplication division operation. Okay. And then our next step is to follow steps for multiplying. So after you flip it, and you change the operation, you go ahead and you follow the rules for multiplying. All right, so this first example, we're going to see if we can factor anything, which we can't. So we're going to go ahead and we can do one of two things. We can multiply straight across, or we can cross cancel. Remember that the ratio has to be 1 to 1. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out the numbers. So this is 1, this is 2, and then I get 1 and 3. So I have xy squared over 6x to the third, y to the third. Okay, so we multiply straight across. Then when you divide powers of the same base, you subtract the exponents. So you get x to the negative second y to the negative first over 6. But we don't like to leave our answers with negative exponents, so we're going to move it over the line and change the sign. Okay, so when you divide powers of the same base, you subtract the exponents again, and then you put it in the numerator, and if it's negative, then you make the adjustments. So we just cross-canceled. You could have also multiplied straight across and then canceled, and then just simplified from there. Okay. All right, let's take a look at example 2. Notice that this is division. So we are going to actually cancel this out, write multiplication, and then flip it. Okay. So we switched the operation to multiplication, and then we flipped the second fraction. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start canceling out the numbers. So this cancels to a 2 in the numerator. This cancels to a 3 in the denominator, and then I'm going to multiply straight across. So 2ab to the third x to the second y over 3 a to the third b to the third xy squared. Okay, could you cross cancel with the variables? Yes, but I just personally, for me, I like to multiply across with the variables and then simplify from there. So we get 2a to the negative second, b to the 0, x, y to the negative first, all over 3. Okay, anything with a negative exponent, we just go ahead and bring it down. This is just going to be equal to 1. Remember that that's multiplication, so we basically just ignore it. So we have 2x over 3a to the second, y to the first. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at, sorry, I'm going to erase this for some reason. It's not wanting to allow me to move the screen over, so hopefully I have that written down. And then let's go ahead and take a look at number 3. Okay. So a very common mistake in number 3 is that we try to start canceling things by, canceling the x squareds or canceling the x's. So all of these are bound by addition and subtraction, so you can't break those up. Instead, we need to factor. So the numerator, x squared plus 2x minus 8 is going to factor to x plus 4, x minus 2, divided by x plus 3, x plus 1. Okay. When we look over here to the right, we always ask ourselves when we go to factor, is there GCF? Which there is, so I'm going to take out a 3, and I'm left with x plus 1. I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around x minus 2. So now here's where you go ahead and you try to match anything that's exactly the same. So the x minus 2's are going to cancel, and the x plus 1's are going to cancel, okay, leaving me with 3 times x plus 4 over x plus 3. You do not need to distribute that 3 through to everything in the numerator, but if you do, that's fine. Just make sure that you include that 3 in your final answer. Okay, a common mistake is that once we take out that GCF, we forget to write it in our final answer. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 4. So hopefully we recognize that this is division. So I need to change this to multiplication. Okay. And then what I want you to do right now actually is we're going to try this problem on your own. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video in a moment, try the answers, and then check with your partner. And then once you guys are ready, go ahead and hit play. Okay? All right, so go ahead and pause. Okay, so we should have gotten a plus 2 over a plus 4. A very common mistake that students make here is that they'll cancel the 2 and 4 and they'll do a plus 1 over a plus 2, or they'll cancel out the a's and they'll get 1/2. These are all things you do not want to do. Okay, remember that you cannot cancel. That would be my dog, by the way. Say hi to Wrigley. That would be where you are breaking up over addition and subtraction. I remember that addition and subtraction, they are bounded together with the terms. You can't break up the couples. Okay, so the only way that you can cancel binomial is when they are exactly the same, and a plus 2 and a plus 4 are not exactly the same. Okay, so you leave that as your final answer. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the second page. Okay. So first example is we're going to be multiplying. Now these multiplication problems involve a little bit more factoring. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first one. Okay. Notice that it's not in descending order. Remember that descending order is the highest exponent to the lowest exponent. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. Okay. Then I'm going to take the GCF out, which is negative 3x. And I'm left with 9x squared minus 1. And then we can actually factor this further to negative 3x plus 1 times 3x minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that over to the side. Okay. If you forgot how to factor, you might want to touch up on that because you definitely need that over the next couple weeks. All right, then the denominator of this fraction, 3x squared minus 2x minus 1. What two numbers multiply to negative 3 and add to negative 2? That's going to be minus 3x plus x minus 1. If you can do those factors without having to do the split the middle, that's fine. But if you need to split the middle, that's okay. So we have 3x plus 1 times x minus 1. So that's going to go up here. Okay. Times. Good thing is this denominator is just 3x, but we do need to factor this. So what two numbers multiply to 3 and add to negative 4? That's going to be negative 3x and negative x. And then just go ahead and factor. And we should get 3x minus 1 times x minus 1. All right, so after you're done factoring everything, that's when you can go ahead, sorry, I completely ran out of room on here, but that's when you can go ahead and start canceling. So we have the 3x plus 1's cancel, the x minus 1's cancel. 3x minus 1 cannot cancel. The ratio is not 1 to 1. Both of these are in the numerator, so they need to stay in the numerator. And then the 3x's could cancel, but be careful, you still have this negative on the outside. So my final answer is going to be a negative in parentheses 3x minus 1 squared. If you wrote that out twice, that's fine. But you can also write it as 3x minus 1 quantity squared. So biggest thing here is just be careful of that negative. Okay, it needs to be included in your final answer. And then the 3x GCFs do cancel out. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next example. Okay, so the little bubble here for is basically to put this fraction over 1. if you need to. And also, that little box is there for this part right here. Sum and difference of 2 squares. So, or 2 cubes, sorry. Good old sops. Okay, you guys actually just had a question like that on your last quiz. All right, so once we have that, we can go ahead and start factoring. So we get x plus 2 over, this is the denominator's sum and difference of 2 cubes, in this case the difference. So it's going to be 3x minus 2, 9x squared, plus 6x plus 4, times 9x squared plus 6x plus 4. So the 9x squared plus 6x plus 4 can't factor, so we can go ahead and cancel out what's exactly the same, and then just rewrite our answer. So x plus 2 over 3x minus 2. The 2's cannot cancel. Remember that binomials are bound by the addition and subtraction, so you have to leave them as is. Okay, so biggest thing there is just make sure we know how to do sum and difference of 2 cubes. Sops. Okay. All right, let's take a look at number 7. Okay. So first of all, notice that this division, so I'm going to want to cross this off, change it to multiplication, and then put it over 1 over 4x squared minus x. Okay. Then from here, I just want to start factoring. So in the numerator, what two numbers multiply to negative 24 and add to 10? That'd be 12x and 2x. And then do factor by grouping. So we get 4x minus 1 times 2x plus 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, it's already written for me, but write this over here. Okay, so we have 4x minus 1 times x plus 3 over 4x squared. And then I'm going to take an x out of the denominator and then cancel what I can. And I can actually only cancel one thing. And then just multiply straight across. So you get x plus 3 over 4x to the third. I can't cancel anything else. You can't cancel the x's, so you're done. Okay. All right, last example. For this example, this is one of those ones where it's a complex fraction, so you're going to flip the bottom fraction because that's what you're dividing by. So we're going to take 5s minus r over r. And then let's factor what I can. So that is dots, difference of 2 squares. I'm sorry, I forgot the s. So 5s, and then r minus 5s times 5s minus r over r. Okay, so hopefully you recognize that the r's can cancel, so r squared and r. And then as of right now, it doesn't look like we have anything that's similar, but we actually have what's known as opposites. Okay, opposites are where these signs are exactly different. Okay, so if we look at the second one right here, r is positive, and then this is negative 5s. Where here, 5s is positive and r is negative. So what we can do is we can rewrite this, I'm going to do this off to the side, as negative r plus 5s, and then hopefully recognize that we can take a negative out. Okay, now we have things that can cancel. So the r minus 5s's can cancel. Okay, so multiply, make sure you include that negative. So we're going to multiply and we get negative r over r plus 5s. The r's cannot cancel. Remember that this denominator, these are bound together. Addition and subtraction bind together terms. And that's our final answer. Just make sure you include that negative that we took out to begin with over here. Okay? And make sure that you look for opposites. So remember, once again, that opposites are exactly opposite signs. So it's not like the conjugate, where conjugate's just one sign's different. It has to be completely opposite. So both terms have to have opposite signs. Okay? All right, so you have the rest of the time to work on your homework. Please feel free to help each other out. Okay? And then I will be back tomorrow. So thank you and have a great day.